chewing, because that's part of your digestive system. It starts in your mouth, it starts with your saliva, it starts with your teeth. It gives your body a chance to actually break down and extract what it needs from the foods. So I think this is a topic that's very multifaceted, multi-layered. And I'd love to know, wherever you're seeing this podcast episode, what is it in particular that you struggle on when it comes to food? Hello and welcome back to The Reset. I am Sean Tucker, human performance scientist and authority architect. We are here in the living lab, documenting the struggle, the science, and the shift for every high-performance dad and founder who is ready to bridge the gap between their ambition and their presence. Today, we're diving into the topic of what should you eat to help you master the man underneath the performance. So let's get straight into it. What should you eat? This is such a big question that I get asked all the time when it comes to people wanting to lose weight, people wanting to enhance their performance, people just wanting to get healthy. And I always answer the same way. It depends. It depends on your goals. It depends on your body type. It depends on your lifestyle situation that you're in. If you have a family or not. There are so many factors that go into answering this question. But more broadly, I think we need to ask another question. Do I eat consciously, or do I just eat for the sake of eating? I do both. I have a pretty high level knowledge around, and also embodiment, around what it means to fuel your body for overall health, overall well-being, etc., etc. I also love eating snack foods, and I wouldn't call these discrepancy calories because I don't count calories. What I employ in my life is probably going to be different to yours. I see how we eat and what we eat as a system of what we do every day. If you're relying on meal prep foods, if you're relying on foods that you buy from takeaway, it's going to be really hard to give your body and your mind the edge that it needs to go to that next level. Because reality is, if you're eating food that is more than a day or two old, there is some form of rot going on in that food. Like if you taste chicken that's 1 day old even, something about it tastes a bit weird, right? You can eat it, you can survive on it, but is it really going to be conducive for allowing your body and your mind to thrive? Short answer, probably not. Long answer, you could probably get into looking at all the research, all the studies and differing opinions on this, but I guess you're listening to this show for a reason. What is going to reset your system or change your state so that you can really choose your life? I look at the process before that. In particular, do you sit down to eat your food? Or are you always in a rush to eat your food? Do you use a microwave to heat your food up? I don't use a microwave to heat my food up. I think the process, usually the longer the process takes for something, the more enjoyed it is. The more understood, the more conscious it is made. And of course, technology has obviously sped things up a lot. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. And maybe add some salt to your food too. Make sure that it's a high quality raw form of salt, because there are many salts out there that are marketed towards being healthy, but there are actually lots of known petrochemicals in those salts. So information is easy to access. And you will find conflicting information depending on what you're looking at. So really it comes down to experience and what works for you. You have to kind of work through the process of experimenting with yourself. So what works for me, I see it as a system. I cook for the whole house. I cook for my wife. I cook for my daughter. So I'm pretty aware of what's going into the food. I feed my family grass-fed meats, red meat, where I can, free range, free roaming chicken eggs, pasture-raised eggs. That's normally what we go for. And there's good reason for this. How the animals are raised and what you eat, how the vegetables are grown, or how they're grown in a particular way. Are they mass produced or are they farmed, not necessarily just organically, but are they farmed in a sustainable manner? Is it a permaculture type farming? Because I'm going to tell you the truth, right? Every weekend we go to the farmer's market and we buy organic vegetables. Spend anywhere between $30 and $50 on a week of organic vegetables. This is not including fruit, this is just the vegetables itself. I don't eat a lot of fruit, but if we do, sometimes we get some organic apples, and depending on what's in season. But the reason why I think those are important is we are fundamentally soil, right? And this is why seeing the system that we live in, that we live in, is of massive importance. Because we've been marketed to in ways that lead us to convenience, obviously, and just absolute ignorance. It's better to find the quickest path than it is to actually know where all this comes from. And our bodies are fundamentally made of soil. Where we return to the soil, we come from soil, essentially. We're made up of 5 elements. Of course, there's water, there's earth, there's fire, there is air, and depending on which background or philosophy you're from, I would say space or akash is the other one. For those first 4, the quality is of course what matters. Quantity, of course, does matter from a survival standpoint. So if there's just not enough quantity, you're never going to get quality anyway. And if the nutrients are all stricken from the soil, well, it's going to be even harder. And that's kind of the position that we're in. If you look at some of the safe soil movements of the last few years, we don't really have strong policies for regenerating soil, which is us fundamentally. So if we only have 50 to 70 years of soil left, well, what happens afterwards? Do we all just die, or what happens? We need to make sure that we're living somewhat conscious so that we can continue to thrive as a human population. But the reality is that we're not, and there's still old farming practices, there's still old eating practices, of course. And it's really hard to know what to do in this day and age. So there's a couple tips I'm going to give you now, which are ways to slow down and become more conscious when it comes to your food, when it comes to eating even. And one is just notice how many times you're chewing. Notice how many times you're chewing your food before you swallow. If it's less than 10, you need to slow down a little bit more. 10 to 20, slow down a little bit more. Anywhere between 20 and 25 is pretty good. Obviously, depending what it is. Snack foods, there's actually less amount of chewing, I find. But when it comes to eating vegetables, when it comes to eating foods like that, even fruits, just chewing. because that's part of your digestive system. It starts in your mouth, it starts with your saliva, it starts with your teeth. It gives your body a chance to actually break down and extract what it needs from the foods. So I think this is a topic that's very multifaceted, multi-layered. And I'd love to know, wherever you're seeing this podcast episode, what is it in particular that you struggle on when it comes to food? Is it the system around how you cook? Is it you just don't have time to worry about those kind of things? Or do you know what's going into your food? Like, what do you rely on day in, day out? Because we all eat. Let's be honest. We're all eating. We're all getting food into us. But what are the things that you face that are challenging when it comes to food and cooking and those kind of things? Let me know. I'd love to find out. And yeah, that's it for today's episode of The Reset. If you're ready to stop being a passenger in your own life and start being the architect of your legacy, make sure you comment or DM the word reset and I'll send the 7-day reset guide to you. Remember, most people wait for their life to change. We actually architect the choice. Change your state, choose your life. I am Sean Tucker. I'll see you in the next episode.